Today we're in episode 4 of the Inner Core Wisdom podcast. Today we will discuss about the topic of trauma. It is something I experienced myself earlier this year, and it really brought me some devastating insights on what trauma really is and how it relates to the business. In my situation, I just became aware, because I have a quite good awareness of my internal conversation. What is trauma actually doing? You could say it's a kind of continuous loop which is running in your brain and which is running your behavior to do something or to not do something. And from a distance, you could say a trauma has good reasons to be there. It helps you actually to avoid a certain situation that you ended up and created anxiety or a negative emotion. So you could say trauma is actually helping you in preventing to end up in situations you don't want anymore. But by sustaining the trauma, by the fact that your brain is really activating these ideas to not do it, well, it's just creating even more disturbance. And you get into a kind of loop, which is really, you could say, completely overactivating your brain. So even in a situation where you have no stress or there is nothing special happening, you see that your brain is overactive, that your nervous system is overactive, and that for no reason actually you're just ending up in a kind of stress situation, even when there is no stress in reality. And what I realized at a certain point is that you can have a conversation with that brain and with your trauma, and just receive actually the reason why it is keeping itself active. And the moment you understand this, you get into a complete new relation with your trauma. And you can even ask questions to the trauma. Well, is there a reason why you're still keeping yourself active? And in many cases, it doesn't. So actually, it's running. It's not aware. It's running in a loop. And through getting in conversation with your trauma, you're just are able to get the trauma itself out of the loop. And I have experienced many situations where things I had anxiety towards or I had procrastination towards, that those things just fell away. So even here, this podcast I experienced today, that I got over a number of traumas just by understanding the trauma better. So the more you get really in touch with your trauma, the more it tends to be more, you could say, a wisdom. So in retrospective, actually, I'm quite grateful for the trauma. It's maybe strange to say, but I'm really grateful for the learnings that it brought me, not for the trauma itself, but for the wisdom it generated in retrospective. And traumas, you could say, are helpers to see where you need to work on. And sometimes it's just a devastating experience that is there. And what you see is that the trauma keeps on looping until you stop it. And if you're not able to stop it, well, it's probably preventing you of arriving in a similar situation. So you could say traumas serve a purpose. But in reality, of course, it's very tough to still have traumas ongoing in your life, in your body, and in your system. And what I realized too is that sometimes you think it's just enough to remove the emotional trauma and it's over. But in reality, you're just stacking up it into all the layers of your system. I realized it's into my DNA, it's into my mental part, it's even in my family system. It went down into my soul. So where you really want to clean it, it's just not enough to remove, you could say, the mental and emotional load of the trauma. You need actually to deconstruct the different layers that were attached or that were influenced by the trauma and remove it energetically from all these layers. And even more, you could say that you have actually the core trauma where it started, but then also you have like what we call secondary traumas or consequential traumas. And as long as these consequential traumas are not stopped either, well, this trauma keeps on going. And even worse, well, you think that trauma is just the first incident, but probably it's maybe the consequence of an earlier source trauma. So what I realized, actually, you need to see this whole chain. So from the source and all the consequences and remove it from all the layers. And only then, when it's out of your energetic field, completely removed, completely removed from your brain, even from your heart, from your cellular memory. All these parts actually require that they need to be cleared before you can get completely rid of your trauma. So for me, the study of my own trauma of earlier this year helped me to get a deep understanding of what it is all about. And I think it's very intriguing to see that it has a much wider scope and a deeper embodiment than you can imagine. And you could say in retrospective, I'm grateful that I experienced it, and there's a lot of wisdom, and I'm sure I will be able to help a lot of people actually with this. As a summary, what have we seen actually today? So trauma in the first place is an event that has a quite deep emotional consequence, but even more deeper than emotional. It can be mental, it can be in your body, it can be in your heart, it can be in different places. It's not only on yourself, but it comes also down into your own family system. In some cases, it goes down to your soul system. So you see, actually, traumas are not only for yourself, but they are learnings, you could say, for your family. And they just require a lot of cleanup, not only with yourself, but also in parts of your family or in parts of your soul family. So it's a quite, you could say, complex world to completely understand. But once you understand it, you know why traumas are there and why it's good that they are learning opportunities. And in retrospective, you could say I'm grateful for the trauma that occurred. At the moment itself, it's not funny, of course, but in retrospective, it has brought me a lot of learnings and a lot of wisdom. That's what I wanted to say today. And maybe just to conclude here today is, if you feel that there is somewhere trauma you're not able to get over, or you think it's over and it's reoccurring after a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago, well, reach out to me. I think we really can go to a level of depth to really understand what are the loops which are still running, what is triggering the loops, and how you can remove them not only from your own system, but from your family system, your soul family, and all the energetic fields that you are attached to. So if this is resonating to you, I hope you can reach out to me either through direct message or through LinkedIn. Thank you very much.